Listen carefully because after this, you will never look at people the same way again. Most humans walk through life completely exposed, emotionally, mentally, and psychologically. They believe they're safe because they smile, speak politely, and surround themselves with good people. But Machiavelli warned us centuries ago that humanity is so simple and so ruled by immediate needs that anyone who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived. And that someone is usually you. Not because you're weak, not because you're stupid, but because you were taught to be trusting while others were quietly learning how to manipulate. The truth is brutal. The world doesn't become kinder when you become nicer. The world becomes more dangerous when you stay unaware. Right now, people are studying your reactions, your fears, your habits, your emotional triggers. They watch how quickly you forgive, how easily you get impressed, how fast you attach, and how desperate you are to be liked. Every weakness you show becomes a weapon they can use against you. But this message will burn all that softness out of you and rebuild your mind into something unshakable, unreadable, untouchable. Because becoming mentally untouchable isn't about being emotionless. It's about learning control. Control over what you reveal. Control over what provokes you. Control over how people perceive you. Control over the battlefield inside your own mind. Machiavelli said, "He who controls appearances controls outcomes." Once you understand this law, no one will ever manipulate you again. Not friends, not family, not lovers, not bosses, not enemies. You will become the one person people cannot lie to, cannot fool, cannot break, and cannot predict. Your presence will change. Your silence will become a weapon. Your calmness will become a mystery. Your mind will become a fortress with no doors to attack. And when the world realizes they can no longer trick you, they stop trying. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind is my strongest armor. No one can influence me without my permission. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to reveal is the first step to becoming mentally untouchable, the kind of person who can walk into any room and instantly sense who is honest, who is pretending, and who is quietly plotting against you. Machiavelli believed that a powerful mind is not the mind that knows everything, but the mind that observes everything. And this is where your transformation begins, with self-observation. Most people live their lives like sleepers with their eyes open. They react before thinking. They speak before understanding. They judge before analyzing. And because they don't understand themselves, manipulators can understand them better. A fool is not someone who lacks intelligence. A fool is someone who can be emotionally predicted. But a person who watches their own thoughts becomes impossible to read, impossible to push, impossible to fool. Imagine two versions of you. One reacts instantly, emotional, loud, exposed. The other one pauses, analyzes, and watches his own mind like a strategist watching the battlefield. Which one is harder to control? The second one, always. Self-observation is not meditation, not spirituality, not positivity. It's raw mental power. It's the ability to see your anger rising before it explodes. To notice when someone's words are triggering you before you respond. To understand your weaknesses so deeply that no one else can use them against you. Manipulators win because they know your blind spots. But if you know them first, they lose their advantage. Machiavelli said that a leader must study human nature relentlessly. But the first human you must study is yourself. If you know why you desire validation, why you fear rejection, why you overthink, why you attach too fast, then no one can weaponize those emotions. When you observe yourself, you disconnect your emotions from other people's influence. You gain inner distance, a quiet gap between stimulus and reaction. That gap is where your power lives. This is why emotionally intelligent manipulators fail when they meet someone self-aware. Their tactics, guilt, pressure, urgency, flattery, confusion, bounce off you because you see the game while everyone else only sees the moment. You recognize patterns before they unfold. You sense hidden motives behind smiles. You feel shifts in tone, energy, and intention. People start calling you cold, detached, hard to read. That's good. It means they can't access your emotional switches. Self-observation makes you unpredictable. Unpredictability makes you powerful, and power makes you untouchable. So from this point on, train your mind to watch your own mind. Every time you feel triggered, pause. Every time you react automatically, rewind. Every time someone tries to influence you, step back internally and witness the moment as if you are outside your body. That awareness alone strips all manipulators of their power. If you can master this first principle, the rest becomes effortless. People think strength comes from speaking, arguing, proving, explaining. But Machiavelli understood something far deeper. The one who speaks less controls more. Silence is not the absence of words. Silence is the presence of control. Most people talk because they fear emptiness. They fear awkwardness. They fear being misunderstood. Manipulators love talkative people because talkers reveal everything without realizing it. But the silent person reveals nothing and learns everything. Silence is a shield because it protects your inner world. No one can twist your words if you don't give them any. No one can predict your next move if you don't explain your plans. No one can manipulate your decisions if you keep your goals private. When you master silence, you become unreadable, like a locked book that others desperately want to open but can't. But silence is also a weapon because it puts pressure on the other person. When you don't respond immediately, people start revealing more. They try to fill the space. They adjust their tone. They expose their intentions. Some even panic because your quietness forces them to confront their own insecurities. Your silence becomes the mirror they fear looking into. Machiavelli wrote that a wise individual should reveal nothing until the timing benefits him. This is the key. Your silence must be strategic, not passive, not shy, not weak. Strategic silence means you choose your moments. You observe first, react later. You allow others to display their cards before you place your bet. This is how kings, generals, and powerful thinkers survive battles, both physical and psychological. When someone tries to guilt-trip you, stay silent. When someone pressures you to answer fast, stay silent. When someone tries to provoke or insult you, stay silent, because silence forces the attacker to expose their real intention. They show their hidden frustration. They reveal their emotional instability. Meanwhile, you stay calm, untouchable. Silence also sharpens your perception. When you stop speaking, your senses awaken. You start noticing details others miss. Body language, tone changes, micro-expressions, inconsistencies in their stories. You begin to hear what is not being said. This is what gives you an unfair advantage. A manipulator cannot fool a silent observer. And remember this, people fear what they cannot read. When they cannot predict your emotions, when they cannot extract your weaknesses, when they cannot influence your choices, they start respecting your presence even if they don't understand it. Your silence creates mystery. Mystery creates intimidation. Intimidation creates power. And that power makes you mentally untouchable. Most people never become mentally untouchable. They live their entire lives as prisoners of perception, chained not by iron, but by the opinions of others. Machiavelli understood this psychological trap better than anyone. The moment someone can influence how you feel about yourself, they can control your actions. And that is the birth of manipulation. Every manipulator, every narcissist, every cunning strategist uses the same tactic. They attack your self-image. They make you crave approval. They make you fear judgment. They make you doubt your worth.
Why?
Because a person who seeks validation is predictable, and a predictable mind is easy to guide like a puppet. But when you detach from opinions, truly detach, you become uncontrollable. Detachment is not arrogance. Detachment is not indifference. It is the ability to stand tall in your own identity, unmoved by praise or criticism. Most people misunderstand this. They think the danger lies only in negative opinions. But praise is equally dangerous. Compliments can be used as chains. Approval can be used as bait. When people know you crave recognition, they can pull you in any direction they want.
Think about it.
If someone's words can make you happy, their words can also break you. If someone's validation lifts you up, their disapproval can destroy you. This is why Machiavelli advised rulers to build their power internally, not from applause, not from perception, not from the crowd. The stronger your inner foundation, the weaker the world's influence over you. Detachment gives you that foundation. When you detach, you stop reacting emotionally to every opinion thrown at you. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't deserve your clarity. You stop defending every choice you make. You begin to walk differently, with a calm that confuses people who rely on your insecurity. Detachment creates psychological distance. You observe everything without absorbing anything. You hear criticism, but it doesn't cut you. You hear praise, but it doesn't blind you. You hear gossip, but it doesn't shake you. Your mind becomes like a fortress, soundproof to nonsense. And do you know what happens when you reach this level? Manipulators lose their power. Bullies lose their impact. Pretenders lose their influence. Fake friends lose their leverage because none of them can reach your emotional center anymore.
People start saying you've changed.
They say you're colder, more confident, harder to access. What they really mean is this: they can no longer control you with their opinions. Detachment makes you mentally untouchable because it breaks the world's hold on your self-worth. You stop living for applause and start living for purpose. From that moment on, no one can fool you because no one can influence your inner compass. Machiavelli believed that a person who can control their reactions can influence entire outcomes without saying a word. Most people think power comes from strength, intelligence, or status. But real power begins with emotional discipline. A manipulator's greatest hope is that you react without thinking. They want your emotions to explode, your judgment to blur, your decisions to become impulsive. Because the moment you lose control of yourself, you hand control of the situation to them. This is why emotional reactions are the easiest doorway into your mind. But once you learn to master your responses, the doorway slams shut forever. Think about it. When someone insults you, what do they expect? Anger. When someone pressures you, what do they expect? Stress. When someone lies to you, what do they expect? Confusion. When someone provokes you, what do they expect? Defensiveness. If you give them exactly what they expect, you become predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. But the person who reacts slowly, calmly, and strategically becomes impossible to play. That's where your transformation begins. Reaction control is the art of choosing your emotional response instead of letting your emotion choose for you. It's the ability to stay centered even when someone is trying to break your balance. It's the discipline to pause before responding, to analyze before expressing, to observe before engaging. This pause is your battlefield advantage. It gives you clarity while the other person reveals their intentions. Manipulators hate people who don't react. Your calmness disarms them. Your stillness frustrates them. Your neutrality exposes their weakness. When they cannot provoke you, they lose leverage. When they cannot intimidate you, they lose confidence. When they cannot emotionally destabilize you, they lose power. Machiavelli understood that the strongest person is the one who cannot be baited. He warned leaders to avoid responding out of pride, fear, or anger because emotional decisions create disasters. But controlled responses multiply your influence. People start adjusting their tone when they speak to you. They become careful with their words. They hesitate before challenging you. Your presence alone shifts the energy of a room. And here's the secret. Reaction control is not silence. Reaction control is timing. You respond when it benefits you, not when they expect you. Your voice becomes heavier because it's no longer impulsive. It's intentional. Every word you speak hits harder because it comes from clarity, not chaos. Once you master this skill, something powerful happens. Conflicts become easier. Arguments become shorter. People treat you with more respect, and manipulators disappear on their own because nothing scares a deceiver more than a calm, unreadable, emotionally disciplined mind. Machiavelli believed that if you can read a person's intentions, you can predict their behavior long before they make a move. And this is where most people fail. They listen to words instead of observing motives. But words lie. Intentions don't. Anyone can say the right thing. Anyone can pretend to care. Anyone can act loyal, kind, respectful, or supportive when it benefits them. But people cannot hide their deeper purpose forever. If you want to become mentally untouchable and truly impossible to deceive, you must learn to read beneath the surface. Start by understanding this truth. People reveal their intentions through patterns, not promises. A manipulator will say, "I'm here for you," yet disappear when you need them. A pretender will act friendly, yet smile a little too wide when you suffer. A narcissist will praise you today, then undermine you tomorrow. A selfish person will offer help, but only when there's something to gain. Words distract. Patterns expose. Machiavelli advised rulers to judge people by their actions over time, not by their statements in the moment. If you follow this rule, you will never be fooled twice. Watch how someone behaves when they're angry, when they're jealous, when they're losing, when they're not getting what they want. These moments reveal their real motives more clearly than any confession. Intentions also reveal themselves in micro-behaviors. The slight hesitation before someone congratulates you. The subtle shift in tone when success comes your way. The quick deflection when you ask a direct question. The forced smile when you mention future goals. These small cracks in their mask are priceless. They tell you who is genuinely aligned with your path and who is waiting for you to slip. And here's the deeper truth. Most people don't have good poker faces. You just never learn to pay attention. Look for emotional inconsistencies. Look for sudden mood changes around your achievements. Look for selective memory. Look for contradictions between what they say and what they do. Look for the energy behind their eyes. That's where intention lives. When you train yourself to see motives instead of listening to excuses, everything changes. Fake friends can no longer pretend around you. Manipulators start avoiding you. Hidden enemies expose themselves through nervous reactions. Opportunists realize you see through their charm. And trustworthy people stand out instantly. Reading intentions gives you psychological X-ray vision. Where others see words, you see strategy. Where others see drama, you see purpose. Where others get fooled, you stay 3 steps ahead. Once you master this, people can't lie to you. They can't mislead you. They can't exploit your blind spots because you don't react to their sentences. You respond to their true motives. This is how you become impossible to fool. Let it settle deep inside you because everything you've learned so far leads to one single truth. The strongest person is the one whose mind cannot be reached, shaken, or rewritten by anyone. Machiavelli understood human nature on a level most people never will. He knew that society rewards the silent thinkers, the calm strategists, the emotionally disciplined individuals who can walk through chaos without losing their center. You are becoming that person. By observing your own thoughts, you've removed the entry points manipulators use. By mastering silence, you've taken away their ability to predict you. By detaching from opinions, you've broken every chain they try to place on your identity. By controlling reactions, you've kept your power where it belongs. Internal. And by reading intentions, you've become too aware to ever be misled again. This is what mentally untouchable truly means. You move through the world with clarity. You sense danger before it appears. You feel when someone's energy shifts. You recognize masks without needing explanations. You understand motives without hearing excuses. People may call you cold. They may say you've changed. They may whisper that you're distant, harder to influence, harder to please.
Good.
That means your transformation is working. A mind like yours becomes a fortress, not built of walls but of awareness, not defended by weapons but by discipline, not fueled by ego but by understanding. When you reach this level, no manipulator, no deceiver, no pretender can reach inside and twist your emotions. You become unreadable, unshakable, unbreakable. This is the beginning of your power. And from here, you rise differently.